Good evening, good morning. It's noon time here. Good afternoon. I'm Caleb and I'm an addict and I'm grateful to be clean and grateful to be in another meeting. If you're new, welcome. Welcome to a power of grading yourself you never have to use again. That's just for today. You know, it's a real honor and privilege to show up for NA because NA has showed up for me all my life since I've been in this program. And I can say all my life because I've been in this program a little bit over 12 years. And I grew up in this process. And I'm about to turn 40. I was 26, came into the program. And I feel a lot of gratitude. I'm grateful that I'm in Israel. I took a first class flight. It took me several hours, but I made it, you know. And I, like the topic they gave me, the topic that y'all gave me, the steps is the program, right? And so I was looking for this topic. I was trying to find it in the literature, and I couldn't find it, right? And I found the program, and like I'm like, the steps is the program, but it's more to the steps is the program. The program, the steps are a part of the program, but it's more to it, right? And not just working steps, but applying steps, right? Having a sponsor, having a home group, going to meetings, being of service. Now, to me, that's the program, and it all works together, you know. And I'm grateful, right? Because like I remember when I first came around and I first came into the rooms, I wasn't gonna work no steps. I was just gonna stay here until I got off paper, right? Until I got off probation, and I was gonna go back and do what I was doing. I wasn't planning on using, but I was gonna go back and sell some dope. I figured I could sell some dope then. But something happened in this process, man. Like I heard a guy share 15 years ago, he was a miracle. Like miracles happen. Like this miracle happened, right? That like God saw fit to put me where I needed to be, even if I didn't want to be there. And so I wanted something different, but I really didn't know how to get something different. And so what I did, right, I started taking suggestions, like these simple tools that this program talks about picking up the phone, right, calling our sponsor, right, calling other addicts, asking for help. Like, I'm going to tell you, I'm not perfect at it, but like today, those simple tools are not just petty. Those simple tools what makes this work, right? These simple tools, right, that we don't think means much, but it is much. Like our program been around for a while. This fellowship been around for a while. Like since I found Narcotics Anonymous, I haven't found it necessary to pick up dope. Like when I have dreams or using dreams, I talk about it. When I have those thoughts of thinking about getting high, I talk about it. Right? Those are simple tools of this program. And how we get through them is we walk through them. We talk about them. We grow from pain. Right? Because like Narcotics Anonymous, let me tell you about Narcotics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous is here before me. It's going to be here after me. It's my choice if I want to do something different. It's my choice. Whatever work I put in, that's the work that's going to come out of it. What I put into this program, that's what's going to come out of it. So if I just sit on the sidelines and not doing nothing, I'm going to find myself stuck. I'm going to find myself miserable. I'm telling you this is all from experience. Because I found myself stuck. I found myself miserable. I found myself complacent with 6.5 years clean. Isolate myself from the fellowship. One working those steps. One calling my sponsor. I had sponsor in name only. I'm real passionate about this program, man. Because this program, right, it saved my life. It saved my life on many occasions. When I wanted to die. I'm talking about I'm in a fetal position. I'm 350 pounds, 6'4". And my ass is in the fetal position. I didn't want to pick up dope, but I wanted to die. Because shit wasn't going my way. Things weren't going the way I wanted them to go. And like, this is all my personal experience. I'm just telling you, I am not the program, but I love this program. I apply this program in my life on a daily. On a daily. Sometimes I have to break it down by a minute. Sometimes I have to break it down by the hour. Because, like, I like to run on Caleb's will instead of running on God's will. And so today, when I say earlier, I got complacent, but so today, man, I stay in the basics. Like like my sponsor threw me a hook, right? We went, like, think about going fishing. He threw me a hook. 6.5 years clean, and I wanted to die in the fetal position, right? And he said, "You want to do something different? Come to a meeting." He said, "You want to get free? Come to a meeting. You want to let all that pain go away? Come to a meeting. Let us love you." And so he called me a coward because I was talking about killing myself. And he didn't call me a coward. He was saying that act is selfish. You didn't a coward. I didn't want to face anything. I didn't want to face the pain. I didn't want to walk through the pain. I didn't want to go through it. So he told me, if you want to do something different, come to a meeting. And so what I did, I went home, I showered, and I went to the meeting. Even when I didn't want to go to the meeting. I didn't want to be around people, right? I was embarrassed. My name in the paper. I went to jail clean, and this is what I got clean for. So I went to the meeting. I let this fellowship love me, right? They hugged me. And all the pain that I was going through, it was it was like all the pain, it was just like steam coming up off me as I get each hug. Each addict that hugged me, man, the pain and the love. And so all I could do is just the tears flow down my face, man. As these tears flow down my face, and this fellowship loved me, man, loved me back to life. And so after that, right, I kept going to meetings. I got back in the middle of the boat. Like I told you, my sponsor threw me that hook, right? He threw me that hook, and I got back in the boat. I'm talking about back, not just on the side of the boat. I got in the middle of the boat. And I threw my reel out. I asked for some help. I got vulnerable. I shared where I was at. I started working on my steps again. And not just working on my steps, I started living my steps. I started living this program. Because that's what they taught me. That's what my sponsor's showing me today. Not just write on them, just to write on them, because that's what you're supposed to do. I'm talking about getting free. Honestly sharing about me. Vulnerable, getting vulnerable. Sharing where I'm at. Telling on the disease. Being faithful in a relationship. Loving my kids, teaching my boys how to be a man. I'm talking about, I was 27 years old, and I was a grown man, right? 26, 27, and I thought I was a grown man. But today, like, I wasn't a grown man. I was still a kid. I was still stuck in the disease. But today, right? Today, I learned how to be a man. I am a man today. I'm taking care of my responsibility. And none of my boys will never have to see me use. I have 5 boys. 11, 9, 7, 5, and 2. And through this fellowship, right, I practice the program with them. Like, I apply patience and tolerance. Like, I apply spiritual principles daily, all day. Because, like, my mind is twisted. You're supposed to do what I say. I stopped putting unrealistic expectations on others. Right? I started applying the spiritual principles. Acceptance is part of spiritual principles, and that's what I have to do on daily. When I stop putting those unrealistic expectations on people, places, and things, my life is a little bit better. Like I'm a little serene today. Like I watched my sponsor for years. My sponsor been my sponsor for over 9 years, right? Almost 10 years. And it's many times I've seen him walking, and his everything's around him is on fire, right? Everything's on fire. It's a storm all around him, and he's just walking so calm, peaceful, with a peace of mind, living the life, right? Going to meetings, sharing where he's at. I'm like, damn, how the hell he's doing that? Why is he doing that? All this shit that's happening to you? How can you just be so calm? So I watched him for years. You can apply the 12 steps to every aspect of your life, and that's what he was doing. And so today I'm applying the 12 steps to every aspect of my life. That's what I'm doing. Through the pandemic, through the laid off, through the being at home while my old lady go to work, and like my self-esteem, and make my disease and tell me that you ain't shit because you got laid off. But my self-worth today, my confidence today is I am strong. I am proud to be who I am today. Like life shows up. Life on life terms shows up. Either I tuck and hide, or I stand up and survive. And that's what we do. That's what we do in this program, man. Like, my life is full. My life is full. And you know, I don't know where I'd be without Narcotics Anonymous. I wouldn't imagine my life being any different than what it is now. Like, I love Narcotics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous loves me. Like, man, I'm going to read this in the literature, right? The literature, that's where it's at. It's going to give you facts, right? And I'm going to read this, and I'm going to share a little bit more. Like, I'm going to read this, I'm going to share a little bit more, and I'm gonna shut it down because, like, when like, that's what you do. You share the message, share some hope, share my experience, my strength, and shut it down. So this is a more review reveal. I love this chapter. I could share on this whole book chapter. It says we came to know ourselves for the first time. We experience new sensations. To love, to be loved, to know that people care about us, and to have concern and compassion for others. We find ourselves doing and enjoying things we never thought we would be doing. We make mistakes, we accept and learn from them. We experience failure, and we learn how to succeed. Often we have to face some type of crisis during our recovery, such as the death of a loved one, financial difficulties, or divorce. These are realities of life, and they don't go away just because we get clean. Some of us, even after years of recovery, found ourselves jobless, homeless, or penniless. We entertained the thought of staying clean was not paying off. And the old thinking stirred up self-pity, resentment, and anger. No matter how painful life strategies can be for us, one thing is clear. We must not use no matter what. We must not use no matter what, right? And so I'm going to jump over here to the page 105, and it says, as we become more God-reliant and gain more self-respect, we realize that we don't need to feel superior or inferior to anyone. Our real value is being ourselves. Our egos, once so large and dominant, now take a back seat because we are in harmony with a loving God. We find that we lead richer, happier, and much fuller lives when we lose self-will. And that's a fact. Love, I'm going to tell you about this. Love is not controlling. Learning how to love myself, right? And like with 6.5 years clean, I go back to 6.5 years because that was a rough year for me. And I was a lot of no matter what's that year. And I want to control the situation. I want to control what's going on in my life. But God say, no, stop. I'm taking I'm taking the wheel. You got no choice but to just ride with it. And so what I did, I just rolled with it. I went to jail. I was in jail for 30 days. And from the records of my past, it was the end of a relationship that I was in for about 4 years. And God's like, I'm sick of watching you being stuck, miserable, unhappy, walking around on eggshells. So I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna work this out for you. And that's when that's when that light bulb went off, and they say you can apply the 12 steps to every aspect of your area. That's when that light bulb went off in my head. And so early on in the beginning, I had to change everything, right? I changed people, places, things, what I was doing. And so that's what I did in 6.5 years. I changed everything. I changed the people I was hanging out with. Imagine I was only hanging out with addicts. So like I switched them up. Just because they was just co-signing my shit. I had to find some people that was gonna call me out on my shit. So I started taking newcomers to meetings again. I started being of service. Became the activities chair in my area. I met the partner that I have today. Like I am giving up on love. And she has given up on life. I gave up on love, and she given up on life. And God saw fit to bring us together. And now God got both of us. And she's an addict. And from learning from experience, right? When you're in a relationship with another addict, right? Sometimes, man, you have to let them do what they want to do. You gotta let them get their own experience. And that's what I'm learning. You know? Like I was talking about putting those expectations on people. I have to let them be. And that's only to apply this program in my life. You know, um, so this is go back to page 104. I love the literature. I'm not a big literature thumper, but I love the literature. It says today we have the freedom of choice. As we work the program to the best of our ability, the obsession with self is removed. Much of our loneliness and fear is replaced by the love and the security of the fellowship. Helping a suffering addict is one of the greatest experiences life has to offer. We are willing to help. We have had similar experience and understand fellow addicts as no one else can. We offer hope, but we know that there's a better way of life is now real for us. And we give love because it was given so freely to us. New frontiers are open to us as we learn how to love. Love can be the flow of life energy from one person to another. By caring and sharing and praying for others, we become a part of them. Through empathy, we allow addicts to become a part of us. As we do this, we undergo a vital spiritual experience and are changed on a practical level. Change occurs because what's appropriate for to one phase of our recovery may not be for another. We constantly let go of what has served its purpose and let God guide us to the current phase of what works here and now. And what works here and now is that Zoom is our platform. We pay rent. That's where we at right now. And I love the college no matter where we at. I don't care if we was in a cave and it was just 4 or 5 of us in a cave. I would practice this program. Like I love this program. Like this program, like I can't say as much how much this program I can never repay what this program has done. It has gave me that. Like I always wanted that white picket fence. I always wanted that white picket fence. But guess what? My white picket fence is a brown broken down fence. That's my picket fence. And I'm okay with that today. I'm okay that I live in the hood, but that don't mean I have to act in the hood because I live in the hood. You know, I take me wherever I go, and I'm living proof, man. It's possible that anyone can recover because I didn't think I would ever recover. I didn't think I ever have a new way of life, but I do today. Like I haven't found it necessary to use no matter what I go through. Like I'm gonna end with this, like right, like we have good days, we have bad days, we have some long ass funky ass days, but as long as we clean, it's a successful day. Thank y'all for allowing me to share. Thanks for believing in me, Brian. Thank y'all, and I love y'all. If no one told you that, I love you. Just because we're doing something different. No matter what we go through, no matter what we face, know that you never have to use again. And that's just for the day. I want you to remember that when you think about getting high, when you think about going through it, for the newcomers and old timers in between, when you think about getting high, there's no more excuses. No matter what shows up, because I told you, right? I told you, like, I told you, right? Homeless, jobless, penniless, lost loved ones, the relationship ended. There's no more excuses. So I'd rather tell you the truth than lie to you and you die from a disease of addiction. So I'm telling you the truth. You don't have to use, no matter what. No matter who loves you, who don't love you, you never have to use again. And that's just for the day. Just for the day. Just for the second. Just for the minute. You never have to fucking use again. I hate seeing addicts die from this disease. This program has saved my life. And you don't have to fucking die. You don't have to die from the disease of addiction. Give yourself a break. Try something different. Thank y'all for allowing me to share.
Thank you for sharing, Caleb. We now have Alphonso. Alphonso.
Peace to y'all. My name is Alphonso, and I am a recovering addict.
Hey, Alphonso.
I want to thank you, Yakov, and Bashiva, and Laney. It's always a pleasure seeing y'all, really. And I want to thank Khalid for just sharing his experience with and hope. Wow, just to be honest, it's an honor to be asked to come and share, your experience, strength, and hope in recovery. And for me, like on an international level, I'm like, oh my, So the topic that I have is stinking thinking, break out the recovery perfume. And so like with this stinking thinking, I'm like, okay, I can work with that. But to break out the recovery perfume, what the heck is that about, right? So Laney said, Alphonse, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay, Alphonse. You'll do good. So, okay, Laney, I'm going on your word. I'm going to do good, Listen, one thing about my recovery that I have come to get in touch with is the experience of having a sponsor who has a working knowledge of the steps, who also has a sponsor that has a working knowledge of the steps. And my sponsor reminds me every so often, Al, loosen up. Don't be morbidly serious all the time. Recovery is real. It's possible. You don't have to be tightened up. So let's get right to it. I have here, and from It Works how it works on page 18, where it says, it seemed to us that because our own power wasn't sufficient to restore our sanity, perhaps something else could if we let it. And then I highlighted another sentence down here. For the most part, our perceptions were not based in reality. So with that being said, I have to give a shout out to my capital area, Trenton, New Jersey, right? My family that came to support me. And I'm really glad because I was really, really nervous, right? I'm like, wow, I heard people say they're nervous and I can't, how can that happen? And so here I am, nervous as heck, but I'm gonna calm down and I'm gonna share my experience, strength, and hope. Like my community, the capital area always says, it reminds me, look, as long as you share your story, you're gonna be fine. I'm gonna thank Leonard for coming out and Texas Jesse for popping up, you know, because they have things and you know, well, hey man, I'm happy to see all of y'all. So I don't have no prison story. I can share with you about the Cub Scouts, the Boy Scouts, the Black Panther Party as a young teenager. I can share if you're going into the United States military. I can share if you're going into the Nation of Islam. And I definitely, most definitely can share about you with using drugs, using that mind-altering, mood-changing substance. I'm one of those young kids that was caught up in the fantasy. You know, my front porch was this B-17 flying over Europe, bombing Germany during World War II. Or my front porch was this here, the Seaview submarine going to the, and we're exploring. Or my front porch was the Starship Enterprise. I'm visiting different planets, you know, growing up into reality. Yeah. I had lost myself in the fantasy, right? So I want to share that I believe that my higher power had guided me to NA, like everyone of y'all have shared, and I'm quite certain that you agree, that just for the day through NA, I would try to get a better perspective for my life. And by doing so, I have been afforded the opportunity to sit down, listen to my sponsor, and in my capital area, share the importance and the value of doing step work. Number one, pray. Number two, do not pick up, do not use. Number three, you know, keep coming back, join the home group, get a sponsor, use the sponsor. Don't get the sponsor name only, but use that sponsor, you know, and by doing so, well, let me back up a little bit. I've been involved with NA for about 27 or 28 years. But on December the 15th, we all celebrated 20 years clean. Today is August the 16th. This still is a just for the day program for me. When I got back here, I wrote, after running in for so long and such a period of time, that I believe that my higher power had slowed me down and I'll need you to take a look at this. You know, what happens when you, in that lifestyle that you had lived with doing what you can to get one more, and the lifestyle that you're living now with living and enjoying life without using. And I'm marinating on that. And I had a lot of tears because I was baffled when I had picked up. I was baffled. Forget about everybody else. Alphonso was baffled. But I made that decision to come back. And I said a prayer, and I still do that today. I say a prayer before I walk into the meeting. And my prayer is, God, please help me to keep my seatbelt on and to remain open-minded, not to judge or criticize anybody in their sharing or their behavior. You know, so now I'm doing step work. And my experience of doing the steps is that what I've gotten in touch with is that step work, it's that junction. It's that junction where my life had met reality. Okay, and It's where reality meets fantasy for me. And it's where facts meet fiction. And, you know, my sponsor always said, Al, the spiritual principles are in the steps. So practice these spiritual principles in the steps, internalize them. And when I started answering these questions that the steps was asking me, you know, I would say the drug this and the drug that. And my sponsor's like, no, Al, put the drugs up on the shelf and let's take a look at some other things about you. And I'm really glad I made that decision. And I'm saying that because now, with having some experience with being in recovery and still gaining experience as well, it's like now, like we always say, find gratitude, make your gratitude list. Do you have your gratitude list? I have a friend that also mentioned to me, not only make a gratitude list, but also make a powerlessness list. So I have not started my powerlessness list yet, as of yet, and I'll be working on that. I've also done a journal when I first got back here. And I would write down on that journal on a daily basis the thoughts that was going through my brain and the feelings that I was having. And I would not read it, like once I finished writing it, I would close the book. I did not read it at the end of the day. And I've done that for about 2 weeks. And when I've done that, I began to see a pattern. I began to see some things, and that's what made me realize how important and valuable steps are. So where am I going at with this? So there had been a situation some years ago. My wife and kids, we was on our way to a family reunion, right, in North Carolina. And our station wagon broke down, right? Right on Interstate 95, the main highway in broad daylight. So let me share with you where my thinking took me to. My thinking took me to burning crosses, the KKK coming out with white sheets and what have you, right? And my mind started, I'm like, oh my God. But what had happened, what took place, moment of sanity kicked in. And that's something that my sponsor and other recovering addicts points out. Listen, our higher power is so merciful and so beneficent that he grants us with a moment of sanity. And when I started doing that, started finding gratitude. Number one, calm down, and start finding gratitude. Where's your gratitude list? Gratitude number one, it's on broad daylight. This is on the interstate highway. It's not pouring down raining. It's not night. And no, there's no KKK running around that part of the town, right? And if it was, I did not know, but I did not see nothing. Gratitude number two, you got insurance. So the more I kept finding gratitude for that situation, the more I began to calm down even more. And the more I began to see the resources that are available to me. So with that being said, I'm so grateful for step work because number one, the first step had let me know that you're powerless over people, places, and things and situations. You're powerless. But there are some things that you can utilize. There's some things that you can do. And my second step had reminded me, listen, baby, slow down and consider the resources that you have available to you. Your higher power, as you come to understand them, has laid before you some resources. Recognize the resources that you have available to you. So after that incident, a lot of events that has happened in my life, you know, I fall back on my steps. Now, that is not to say that I'm like 200% perfect, or I'm just here perfect recovering addict. You know, I can walk on water and make mountains, you know, and clouds and all that clear. No. What I'm sharing is that when you take the initiative to follow the suggestions and sit down and listen, right, that veil, that VEIL begins to become clear, it gradually becomes clear. And you'll be able to see what you can utilize that are at your possession. And so, Alphonso, are you really doing that? Here in the capital area, we say what you mean and mean what you say. What comes from the heart touches the heart. And we have the resources available for you to use, such as your home group and recovery literature and utilizing your sponsor. So now, my household, my wife and I, we have this here roller coaster ride, this emotional roller coaster ride on what's going on for our baby boy. Now we have 3 kids. You know, they all was at college at one time. The 2 oldest ones, they didn't finish college. And then when they got their bachelors, they moved on. Our baby boy was in college. He wanted to come home on school break. We asked him, would you stay there? You know, where he was at in South Carolina, you know. But eventually he came home, got with the wrong people at the wrong time. And the end result is that there's a body. So this is a criminal case that we are taking a look at. And this is the same, I used to bring my kids to meetings, you know, put them in a corner and have them chips and juices and have you. Here's the thing. I told you, I shared with you, I have no experience of being in penitentiary, okay? I do not understand the language. And I'm saying it because when we went to court and the judge and the prosecutor and all this, the powers that be started speaking this language, I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? And when they started shooting out numbers, I'm like, what the heck are they talking about? And as I started turning to my praying, to my calling on my higher power, you know, with the serenity prayer and thinking about Shiva, when she mentions the 3rd step prayer. Many people have said, I'm one of those people that say, please take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and please show me how to live. So now sitting in this here world, this criminal world, this law and order world, whatever you want to call it, and hearing this here language, right? I'm being reminded that, hey, wait a minute. There are some men and women in my capital area that have the same experience as what you're going through right now. Yes. So you're not alone. You know who to go to. And my wife and I have been able to go to those people and ask them their experiences. Now, here's something else, right? Here's something else. There are men and women in my area that work in law enforcement, that work in the criminal justice system. And I have family members that are in law enforcement. So they were able to translate to me just what the heck is being, that language of what's being said. And the possibilities of what could happen, the result. So I find myself, you know, calming down. Now here's some things, right, that I have been told from the homicide detective and the prosecutors and the attorney, I really thought was blowing smoke up my butt. And what was that? You know, Mr. M, you're one of the very, very few African-American men that show up in court. The majority of parents that these kids come up is either the mother or the grandmother. Very, very few African-American men. I begin to find gratitude again for NA. Why is that? Because I've gotten in touch with, I found a way, a path, a map has been laid out for me to follow, not to pick up, not to use. Calm down, calm down. And remember, you're now in a world that you are not familiar with, but there are some men and women that are, and they are able to share with you and encourage you and show you the way. If you let them. The main important thing is that you must calm down. So sitting in that world, right, this is also what I'm seeing. And I'm being reminded of the existence that I have led in my active drug use. And what is that? Well, I'm really glad you asked. The addict that is actively using today, this day, right now, in the here and now, right now, is not the same as the addict that is in recovery right now. The addict that is out there actively praying, Lord, please let somebody bring something by. Let somebody bring some money by. Let me find something on the ground. You know, that prayer is not the same as the prayer of, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Please take my will in my life. Please guide me in my recovery. Please show me how to live. It's not the same. We have the same last name, addict. We have the, you hear what I'm saying? You hear me? We have the same last name, addict, but we are not the same. We are not the same. So, you know, here's another thing that I love about recovery. And that is this. For me, recovery is not only revolutionary, but it is also evolutionary. What I mean is that not only is it revolutionary in my thinking process, in my attitude, in my character, by doing step work and sitting down with my sponsor and hearing my sponsor share his experience with doing the step, and also hearing him say, yeah, me too. Oh, wow, yeah, you know. So not only is it revolutionary, and just for the day through NA, I would try to get a better perspective on my life, but it's also evolutionary in this process. Evolutionary in that you're growing to more responsible, being more responsible. You're being growing to more maturity. Your outlook is more on an adult level, a more responsible level. And again, when things start happening to me, you know, can you imagine, man? And most of y'all might have experienced that. Being sucker punched, or somebody done stole something from you, that way from left field, and walked in and stole something from you. You didn't even see it coming. You didn't even see it coming. But because we have been establishing ourselves in this recovery process, and because we have been building this foundation of not picking up and not using, and establishing ourselves and committing ourselves to doing the steps, to following the suggestions, is that, again, that veil, that Victor, Echo, India, Lima is gradually being removed. And just for the day through NA, I would try to get a better perspective on my life, to be able to slow down and to consider the consequences of what's going on. You know, for me, step work is experiencing self-exploration, self-examination, awareness, self-assessment, and self-improvement. As long as I make mistakes and I fall short at times. One of the spiritual principles in recovery, man, is to develop the habit of courage, to have the courage to admit that you was wrong. You know, most people would rather die and commit suicide before they admit they was wrong or they made a bad choice. Yeah. So when we start developing that courage, look, I messed up. The courage to stay committed to the SHIP program, even when things go sideways, or even when things go south. So now, thinking, break out the recovery perfume. That is the recovery perfume. Step work is the recovery perfume. From the thinking, it smells, yeah? But once we start applying these steps in our lives and utilizing our sponsor and actively participating in our recovery, that's the perfume right there. it clears up that stinking thinking. We begin to see now with no revenge in our eyes, man. No, I'm going to pay your ass back. Now, I had made a meeting, right? And this guy, he had this Confederate battle flag in his background. I'm not talking about a Confederate state flag. I'm talking about a Confederate battle flag. And everything inside of me was ready to go ballistic. And then this here bomber came on. He comes on with the KKK and burning flags and the Nazi swastika, and everything inside of me went sideways. So I got with my recovering capital area, and I shared about what I was going through with that, because I understand the history of both those. And like my capital area reminded me, they willed me back into reality. Here's the reality. Well, they have a right, this Confederate guy, he has a right to recover. But they also reminded me, listen, man, principles before personality, right? So I'm still working with that and living with that, So yeah, if you want to stop, using drugs, yeah, I can share with you my experience, strength, and hope. And maybe I'll do it from an arm's length. I still have to work on that. I really do. So, yeah, excuse me, I'm trying to keep time of my sharing. So, that's that stinking thinking, break out the recovery perfume. I'm trying to be the best father that I can be. I'm trying to be the best husband that I can be. The best brother that I can be, and the best friend that I can be. And it's a reality that I'm living in today, my personal reality, and then the reality that's going on in the world today. Given this here virus that's going on, the protests that's going on and that have went on, and so I have this thing. Whereas when my oldest son, who has no criminal record, who's been in college and has his degree, and my daughter, who has no criminal record, who has been in college and has a degree, when they walk out the house, I get this feeling of, is there going to be a knock on the door? Is this going to be a knock on? Is this going to be a phone call? Hey, Mr. M, something tragically happened to your son. Something tragically happened to your daughter. I have been reminded by the capital area in Trenton, slow down and consider some things, man. Calm down. It has not, remember, your third step told you, remember what you have learned in your third step. What did I learn through my third step? What I have learned, that I am in God's care. And I'm being reminded to revisit the first step. You are powerless over people, places, and things. But remember, who has the power? Who has the source? What is your source of strength? So, that stinking thinking, whoa, I need to will that back in. And that perfume of recovery, it is the 12 steps for me. It is the other men and women in this here fellowship. So, less than a minute. You men and women that have multiple years of clean time, that have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years of clean, thank you for keep coming back. I really appreciate that, really. Because I am able to look at you and say, look, he or she is still coming back. He or she are still saying, I worked with my sponsor today. I'm on this here step today. Who is an addict? That still fits me. That still fits me. I'm not no angel, not no holy roller, not none of that stuff. I'm just another recovering addict just like you. So I hope I was able to share a good, clear message of recovery. And thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Alphonso. Great share. And we have now come to our end of our meeting. We're a few minutes ahead of schedule, but that's okay. We have our final speaker, though, the one that's going to close this meeting, which is Alina F. Alina?
Hi, we're starting now.
Got nothing else.
Okay, let's close this off. My name is Alina. I'm an addict.
Hey, Alina.
What an amazing afternoon. First, we have to thank everyone who put this together. Thank you, Yaakov, Brian, Henry, everyone who did service. Most importantly, everyone who joined and shared. This was a huge reminder of, you know, like I'm stuck here in quarantine. I'm only allowed to join through Zoom to attend any of the meetings, and I often just attend the meetings here in Israel. I live in Israel now. In the past couple hours, I've seen and heard people from all over the world, Thailand, Kenya, India in the women's meeting, and all over America. And, you know, our disease doesn't have borders. My disease doesn't care how much money I have or don't have, how smart I am, or how smart I think I am. My disease is cunning, and it will take me and eat me up and spit me out. And regardless where I'm located or everyone's located, one thing we have in common is this disease that will kill us, that will kill me if I don't work on myself. And hearing everyone speak, finding a connection with everyone, because
I think Alina froze.
my entire life, I've been using for more than half of my life. A point in my life where I just came to terms that this is my life. I'm on this planet to be an addict, and this is who I am, and this is who I was going to be, and who I'm going to end, and how I'm going to die. Misunderstood, and no matter how many people are around me, I still felt alone. Like inside, I felt alone, regardless how many people were around me. I went from school to working working in corporate, from grow houses to trap houses to like any type of environment, and I still felt alone and misunderstood. My brother tricked me into flying out to Israel. I was raised in San Francisco, and here I found out how spiritually bankrupt I was. That no matter what job I had, no matter what surroundings or who I was around, I was spiritually bankrupt. The rooms of NA gave me hope. They connected me to my higher power. And I came into the rooms through rehab. So I was in rehab fighting and kicking and screaming in full-blown denial that I don't have a problem, because my illusion of what an addict was didn't fit who I thought I was. It was a complete illusion. But I came very alone. I came in a lot of pain. I came tired. How I heard several people share throughout this convention, where you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when I started, giving this a chance, at least opening up my eyes, opening up my ears, and closing my mouth a little bit, and just hearing what people had to say. And people will come into the rehabs. Like I heard Shmuel speak, and people speaking in this convention, 20 plus years. I thought you guys were getting paid to come and talk to us, because I didn't think it was possible to have this much clean time. Because I remember during active use, I couldn't even go a day. I would, start the next morning, like today it's going to be a new day, and I have control over my disease. and like right away I would end up using again. So I couldn't believe that there's even a possibility to have so much clean time. And like over time, and like what I was taught in the rooms of NA is, you know, God gives you, you wake up, and I thank God that I have 24 hours. I have one day, and everyone here, we have one day, and you know, it's one day to grow, one day, another day to stay clean, another day to learn about myself, and I'm grateful for that. And you know, overall, I guess common theme I kept hearing throughout this convention, which kind of grounded me too. You know, every morning I wake up, I thank God that I have 24 hours. I sit down, I read my just for today, and I write my gratitudes. And over time, like it's become a habit. And like over time, I connect to my gratitudes differently. And I keep hearing, you know, a grateful addict won't relapse, a grateful addict won't relapse. And I didn't realize that like my higher power was with me and carrying me even when I wasn't ready to have my higher power in my life. God was holding me down even before I was ready to even accept God into my life. And my gratitude for God always having my back and still being kind of here with me and guiding me is being the woman He wants me to be, asking for His will, and of course carrying it on, and knowing that anything and everything that I do, like I didn't realize that I wasn't just hurting myself. I was destroying not only my life, I was destroying the lives of everyone around me. But you know, the essence of my addiction is I'm self-centered and I only think about myself. And what does NA teach me? What does this program teach me? Is to get out of myself. How do I do that? I do that through service. And you know, I work with girls in a local rehab, and it's a constant reminder of where I came from, and it's a constant reminder that I'm only going to keep what I have by giving it away. Overall, I feel like there's like, I guess a justification for my behavior was to blame others and constantly blame the situation. It's everyone else's fault. A big part of, I guess, this journey was finding and taking responsibility for my action, responsibility for my recovery. And, you know, I think it was Todd that was sharing, he said many times, it's not what happens, it's what you do with it. And NA is helping me deal with how I react, because, you know, I can't control what happens around me, but I can control how I react to it. And what helps me is working the program honestly with my sponsor. And that means like I might not always like what I hear, and I might not always like the advice that's given, but when coming in to NA, I remind myself, like, I came here on my knees. Like, I was done suffering, and I was willing to do anything and everything in order to be freed of this active addiction. And you know, it's been about 2 years, 7 months, and I feel blessed. I feel blessed that I wake up free from this obsession. I feel blessed that I wake up, I no longer feel like I'm alone. I was in the women's meeting just now, and I'm looking around, and like, I have family now. I have family that understands me. And not only do I have family inside these rooms, but these rooms are teaching me to develop a relationship with my family outside of these rooms, something that I spent over 18 years destroying. I think that overall, you know, going back to like my responsibility is, you know, I hear Brian always say this, someone that I really look up to in the rooms of NAs, it's an inside job. It's an inside job. There was topics about anxiety. There was topics about being joyous and free throughout this convention. And there's this common theme that it all stems from my work inside me, where I am. And in order for me to work, to kind of be the best version of myself, if you will, is working these steps, being honest with myself. And yeah, like not every day is gonna be peachy and sunny and shiny, but I now have the resources. I have God on my, like, I have a connection with God, something that I never thought I would have. I have a connection with other clean addicts, real relationships that aren't based around like what we can get from each other, you know, or how high we can get. This is a life that, you know, there was times where I was begging for like a new life, like, and I, you know, I got a gift. I got a new life. I got a new family. And NA and these rooms and these shares, like this is what keeps me going. And again, I want to thank everyone who shared, because it stems from, you know, it all starts from with us. It starts with me. It starts with the work that I'm willing to do on myself, how honest I am willing to be when I'm writing my steps, how honest I'm willing to be with my sponsor, and then how much am I willing to get out of my, I guess, my skin and help others. I didn't take NA seriously in the beginning. I thought it was a hoax. And I remember when I was trying to leave rehab, I was trying to get my passport to go back to America, and they wouldn't give me my passport. I was like, okay, I'm gonna act straight from spite, and I'm gonna do everything you guys want me to do just so I can get out of here and get high right in front of the gates and show you that this doesn't work. It was a month and it worked. I woke up and like there was that moment, I believe it was Batsheva that was talking about it, and I totally connected. That moment of like my washing machine in my head stopped, and I wake up and I'm like praying and I'm meditating, and there's silence and there's that little moment of inner peace. That moment is worth everything. And like it's almost like chasing that high. Like that was my motivation. Like it could happen. Like I'm not destined to live like in pain. I'm not destined to live stressed out and anxiety and constantly chasing the high. Like I could also live in peace, and I can also help others and be like an active member in society. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's through these rooms, it's through the steps, it's through being honest with myself and honest when doing the steps that like allows me to do that. Again, like this is amazing that that we can get so many people together from so many different countries to share their experience, their strength, their hope, and hear like gratitude helps. A grateful addict will not relapse. Genuine gratitude helps. And just for today, I'm grateful that God gave me 24 hours to enjoy life, being free from active addiction, being able to like give back finally and not constantly take, and be able to, you know, it's all about perspective. Any situation that's given to me, if it's seen as an opportunity, then I can learn something from it. God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. And God gave me a gift. He gave me the rooms of NA. He gave me a different blueprint on how to live. He showed me that I can take a pause. I don't need to act like how I'm used to acting. There is a different way, and a different way, like now I have a choice. Like before, everything was on impulse, everything was like, you know, everything was on impulse, but now I have a choice. I have a choice on what I can do. I'm free, and I take responsibility that whatever choice I make, there's going to be a consequence. It could be good, it could be bad. You know, my sponsor was telling me, she's like, you can go use, you can go use. Are you willing to pay the price for it? And like, that's where the gratitude kicks in. Like, you know, I guess my action to justify my gratitude to God who gave me this life is to preserve my clean day, and to do what I can to preserve my clean day, because it's a blessing. And I'm thankful for the rooms of NA for giving me this blessing, for cultivating it, for giving me a safe place to share, for giving me a room of people that understand me, people that I don't need to have ever met you, but I can call you family because I know you get where I'm coming from. And it feels, I feel full inside, where before, no matter what drug I took or shopping or whatever to try to fill this void, the spiritual like hole, I feel full inside. I feel peaceful. And even in my worst day, I'm just thankful that I have you guys. I hope and I pray that this message, that we can carry this message to the still suffering addict, that what we heard in the room today, or in the virtual rooms today, you guys could bring to your towns, to your cities, and we could all help someone that's still suffering. Because I sure remember that when I needed help, the people in NA were there to help me, and I'll forever be grateful for that. And I want to thank everyone who shared, Henry, Shmuel, Todd, Batsheva, the women's meeting, everyone who everyone who chaired, everyone who hosted, co-hosted, Brian, Yaakov. Big thanks for putting this together, and thank you for letting me share. I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, love you guys and wish for all of you guys that clean day forever. God bless you all.